Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the first and most interesting, I think, so far, of a series of monthly webinars run by Send. And the area that we're going to be covering today is looking at Gen AI. Heading is Gen AI in underwriting. It's here. What happens next? I'm Tony Tarquini, and I've been in the insurance technology industry for 35 years now. I'm going to be speaking with a panel of experts on this subject, and we're going to be looking at where Gen AI is now, what's it being used for, and where is it heading. So I'd like to turn immediately to my panel and ask them to introduce themselves. Em, if we could begin with you.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is M, short for Emanuele. I work for Generali. As you probably know, if you're here and interested in insurance, is a global leader in the space. I'm an innovation lead in the head office, and we help democratize and make innovation accessible to the entire organization. We do it through scouting and horizon scanning, but also through funding of ideas. And Gen AI, as you can imagine, is a big one on our radar right now, and we are already getting our hands dirty, so really happy to share our views on the topic today.
Well, thanks, Em, and welcome. Henry, if I can turn to you next.
Thanks, Tony. Yes, I'm Henry Gale, Research and Insights Manager at Instech. Instech is an intelligence network in the insurance and risk management industry. And my role as Research and Insights Manager means I research and write about different areas of technology and innovation in insurance. And I'm our Gen AI specialist as well, which means I also write a monthly roundup of everything the insurance industry is doing with Gen AI.
Excellent. And Andy, if I could turn to you finally, last but certainly not least.
Hi, thanks, Tony. Hi, everyone. I'm Andy Moss. I'm one of the three co-founders at Send, and I'm the CEO. I've worked in insurance for just over 20 years. I had a few sort of jaunts out, but I always come back. And we founded Send a few years back. Our focus is on underwriting enablement. So we have a platform called the Workbench that allows underwriting organizations to streamline what they do, bring processes, data, activity all into one place. Gen AI for us at Send is of particular interest. It has, some really interesting applications throughout the life cycle of underwriting. So we've been doing work with that over the last year or so, and starting to see some of the benefits. So I'm really excited to join the panel today.
Excellent, thanks, Andy. So we've got an insurer, we've got a researcher, and we've got a software guy. Between the three of you, we should be able to get all the answers, I think. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to ask our audience to do is, as we're working through this discussion, is submit your questions. If you've got anything that you want to pose to the panel, feel free to put those questions in the chat, and I'll make sure that as many as possible get through to the panel to ask. So I'm going to start off with a very broad question. I mean, I've been in this industry a long time, and when I first started, almost 40 years ago, I was involved in some AI work then. So after 40 years, why has AI suddenly exploded into the mainstream with Gen AI, and why is insurance a good fit for using it? Em, maybe I could start with you on that question.
Sure. Obviously, we had what some define the iPhone moment of AI in November 2022 when OpenAI released ChatGPT. What they did there was, they democratized access to the tool. So the tool is there, and together with it, many other, it's just one click away, available 24/7 for everyone to play with. The tool is also super powerful. With just simple prompting, you can get incredible results, not just in natural language, but also with, coding and images. I'm sure we'll dive into some of the details. So powerful, easy accessible, but also something we sometimes forget is the fact that because these tools are able to mimic language, natural language, and language is one of the main ways we humans use to communicate and interact with each others. The machine, is very empathic, and it sticks with us. So it's a combination of being powerful, being easy to access, and also being, empathic, and expressing these human capabilities of creativity and language. Why insurance? I'm a simple guy, right? So I try to keep things simple as I have in my head, but representative risk, it needs data, so insurance heavily relies on data, as many other industries, but, the better we represent the risk, so more data means we are better in pricing, hence, we get better price for us and better price for the client. So we rely heavily on data, and, data is, the bread and butter of AI, is the key ingredient. So yeah, for that reason, I mean, the AI is the natural, place for, insurance is a natural place for AI to play.
Okay. Henry, some thoughts from you on that subject. You're seeing what's developing as you're doing your research.
I think what is interesting about insurance and why generative AI moves the dial compared to some of what went before is that in insurance, that it's so document heavy as well as being data and numbers heavy. There's an awful lot of words. There's a lot of relationships and emails, all sorts of complicated contracts and so forth. Actually having technology that is able to understand and process words and then generate words at the other end, that's why generative AI is making inroads, and that's why people are thinking about it as a real game changer in insurance specifically. One interesting thing that came up recently is the World Economic Forum actually ranked, I think, over 100 different jobs as to how relevant they were to large language models, like the foundations of generative AI. And they ranked all of these based on how likely are the tasks you do in this job to be completely automated by large language models? How likely are they to be augmented, by which they mean sort of, it will help you do your job. It won't take away your job completely. And under that second category, insurance underwriters came up number one. Out of all of the jobs that they identified, they said insurance underwriters are the ones where LLMs aren't going to take away their jobs, but they're going to add to, and they're going to help them do their jobs more efficiently. So there's a lot of reasons to believe out there that generative AI is going to change the working life of an underwriter quite a lot.
Okay, thanks for that, Henry. That's really important. And actually it plays to a question that's just come through from Kayla Grouksby. She's asking, has any thought been given to the implications of governance for AI as it relates to its role in underwriting workflow processes? Any likelihood of Gen AI taking over decisioning? Andy, you're working with a lot of different insurers in the underwriting space. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I'll come to the question, but I'll talk about some other bits first, because I think it will set it up right. So I think one of the reasons Gen AI has come to the forefront of everyone's minds at the moment is that with previous attempts with AI, and Tony, you might remember this with your work, you referenced, you typically had to train a model yourself, and you had to build up get a load of data together. Now these large language models are trained on a humongous corpus of text and content, and there's value out of the box of them. That's the thing that I see as the difference. It understands language. Em said, that's key for us in the insurance world, because the insurance is conversational. There's especially with a complex risk, there's a conversation, there's an ongoing dialogue about what's going on. Where we see, I guess, the sort of trajectory of where it could be applied, Gen AI could be applied, I think there's some really simple starting points, like extracting information from text and documents, getting key data points out, like who's the insured, what's the NAICS code, what's the effective date of the proposed policy. There's a sort of continuum then of getting into more increasingly complex pieces to the point of doing full decisioning. Now, I think at the moment where we're seeing the most success is in removing the mundane work, doing the stuff that underwriters don't want to be doing, and large language models have a chance of really leveraging that technology when you get into decisioning and the sort of compliance around it, it's a bit of a minefield, and I think it's early days on that. So if you look at, ChatGPT is a black box. You ask it a question with some information that gives you an answer. So, getting the traceability or the lineage of why it's made a decision or why it's recommended something, you can't do that. So I think to answer the question, I think it's the way I see it at the moment is that your best use of Gen AI is in scenarios where it's not making the decision, it's helping the underwriter, pull information out, help the underwriter understand, make sense of something that's a bigger piece of data than the underwriter can compute in their head at once. That's where I think the value is right now. So I've kind of dodged the question slightly, but I think it's complex.
Okay, so I want to turn now then to specific use cases, particularly real life use case examples, maybe Henry, that you're seeing in your research. Can you talk to us about where it's really being applied? And also, there's a question here from Paul Webster. How do you think the role of the underwriter will evolve as a result of those use cases developing?
Yeah, and I think the starting point is actually similar to what Andy was saying, is particularly for underwriters, currently they're receiving their information from brokers in all sorts of unstructured formats. And that submission processing is an area that actually insurance companies were looking to make more efficient before we were all talking about generative AI. And actually this technology is an enabler to do that more quickly, more accurately. So that's a really important aspect. There's one company, for example, Markel, has been implementing that for a little while in their UK teams, I think, and they've managed to increase their gross written premium per underwriter by over 100%. Why has that happened? It's because they've taken all the information that was being looked at in an email, where you have to look through each document to find out, that might be names, dates, information about the policy that's being requested, and actually just pulling that through automatically into an underwriter's workbench so that they can make that decision more quickly. And of course, you can even run business rules over that to say, well, even before that reaches the underwriter's desk, that's out of appetite, or that's definitely in appetite. Let's put that right to the top of the priority list. So that's a really important one, is taking that existing process and making that more efficient. The other one, I think, for underwriters, but also more generally, is we have seen a few insurance companies, inspired by how everyone in their personal lives is using ChatGPT, introduce similar chatbots in their own sort of privately hosted environment, where you can use your company's data and you can basically ask questions to a chatbot to help you do your job. And that might be attaching a document and saying, what can you tell me about this specific aspect of it? I know some brokers, for example, Marsh McLennan has rolled this out to some of their employees, and those sorts of use cases might be, we've got 2 different quotes back from different insurers. Can I compare the terms and see what's different? And actually, a ChatGPT style bot can be quite good at those sorts of tasks. So there's one version which is very much integrated into an underwriting process or system, and then there's another one which might be a more chatbot for ad hoc, almost any query that comes up.
Okay, thanks, Henry. Because it's really important when people are trying to get their heads around this kind of technology. The best way to explain it, I think, is in practical use cases. So you've given some really good insight there. Within the bounds of confidentiality, obviously, can you tell us what Generali have been doing in this area?
Sure, yes. We do have, we have identified a list of over 200 use cases, and there is no single piece of our value chain which is not touched by the technology. Obviously, underwriting is, a very exciting area we're exploring, but as with, probably most players, we started with the low-hanging fruits. That means text, and that means internal use cases. So what Harry just described of, helping people to navigate internal documentation. We are a regulated entity, complex entity. We sit on a massive amount of policies and documentation.
Okay. Well,
So an easy way to start was, in a safe way with internal documentation. And then we also moved into safe things to be done in the outside world. So if you now go on the Generali Switzerland website, you will see an advanced chatbot that can help you navigate the content and the offering of Generali Switzerland. So slightly more advanced and open to the public.
We lost M.
I think we might have lost M there for a second. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, what he was saying there seems to validate very much what Henry was saying is seeing out in the marketplace. Andy, I just want to ask you a quick question, which comes through from Caroline Bedford. Thank you, Caroline. The rapid the rapid evolution and headline news around Gen AI has seemingly pushed many previously cautious insurers to push digital transformation up the agenda. Are we now seeing that that capability within AI as a catalyst for moving things off the planning and into reality? Is it?
I think there's. Yeah, thanks, Tony. Hi, Caroline. By the way, I think what my thoughts are really there's a lot of experimenting and a lot of tinkering going on with Gen AI. That's definitely created a buzz for sure, and shown people that things are possible. I guess it's the taste of what's to come in terms of what's possible with this as an emerging technology. I think in some ways though it can be a distraction, and I know this is meant to be a webinar about Gen AI and what you can do with it, but there's the insurance industry as an industry that tends to get excited about shiny things and doesn't always focus on some of the basics. And I think it's definitely created a buzz. There's definitely inspiring people, but I think it should be taken alongside something that focuses on the basics of for underwriting, tracking your submissions, prioritizing them, and using that as a technology that augments it. So yeah, is there a lot of interest from Gen AI from our sort of customers and prospects? Absolutely. It's on every agenda, for new projects. Is there an angle here? But yeah, I think my caution would be around getting the basics right as well.
Okay, so we're at the start of the journey, and AI is a strategic transformation journey, rather than just a sort of discrete innovation project. I'd like to ask you, what are the implications for partner selection? I would have thought if you are looking to work with somebody, it's going to be a long-term relationship when it comes to AI, particularly in the underwriting space. Because you're not going to want to jump horses mid-project and swap from vendor to vendor and partner to partner.
I think I'll go. I'm sorry, I'll jump in, but let the others go afterwards. I think there's something to consider here where the rate of change is compounding in AI. So the capacity in hardware, the volume of data that's feeding into these large language models and other models, just increasing year on year. It's a compounding effect. So technology is going to move really fast. So there's definitely an argument of working out who the best partners are and being discerning about who you're working with. But there's also a concept here where things will change so quickly that you need to be able to keep up and be prepared to, if you're working with a provider like OpenAI, upgrade to the latest model and make sure you're leveraging what's available there, or switching vendors over time. And what it boils down to for me is understand what your use case is, understand the business problems you're trying to solve, and be prepared to switch partners if there's a better option coming up, because all insurers will be looking at these opportunities in the coming years.
Okay. Any thoughts on that particular issue of partner relationships?
Yeah, I think with everything within innovation, working with external innovative players is a way to go a bit faster, because obviously startups can move slightly faster than the corporates. So I will probably tactically leverage on that. There is, although, another side of the equation, which is, small startups. They are competing in a fierce space where, if it's true that the quality of the models is depends on the amount of data, and getting a lot of data to train your models is expensive, right? There is an argument to say there where can this startup survive? So I think only the good ones will survive, and those who will specialize in solving specific needs. That's the way I see the things unravel.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to move on to the subject of talent now. We've heard in the underwriting space, the wider insurance industry, and indeed right across the board, that underwriters and others are concerned about losing their jobs. However, there is also the flip argument that the introduction of AI is going to create new jobs. So what future role do we think AI will play in attracting and retaining talent in the insurance industry? Because talent's a big problem for us. Henry, can I give that one to you to start with?
Yeah. Well, I think there's quite a diverse range of opinions out there in the industry, and all many people have tried to quantify. I think the highest number I've heard is that 70%, someone surveyed UK insurance executives, and 70% thought they're going to lose their job because of AI. But there's quite a wide variety of numbers out there, and there isn't yet any evidence of sort of layoffs that are caused by things being completely automated by AI, at least not among insurance underwriters at the moment. Actually, as Andy was saying earlier, currently most of the areas where generative AI is having the most effect are taking away those more tedious, mundane tasks, and in the case of underwriters, allowing them to go through more submissions a day and actually write more business, or spend more time on the complex decision making that they have to do. And so in that case, it's actually not so much taking away people's jobs, but it's helping people have spend more time in their jobs doing the skilled work that they're trained for, and hopefully have a more rewarding career based off of that. And I think over time, and this is what some insurers say, is that one of the reasons they want to increasingly use generative AI to make their systems better is because that is going to make them more attractive to the next generation of talent, who don't want to take all of their time at work rekeying information from one document to another, but are very used to advanced technology in their everyday lives, and they want to see that at work. They don't want to see have to do things which everyone can see that can be automated now, with the fact that everyone uses ChatGPT and understands what is possible and what's not.
Okay, Andy, any thoughts on that talent question?
Yeah, I mean, everyone is saying, Gen AI will not replace underwriters, but underwriters who use Gen AI will replace those who don't. I think that's true. I think you need to keep up pace with what's happening and leverage on these tools. I think there is a short of talent in the data science space. We are competing with any company today. The big techs, but also any companies doing AI now. So I think there is more demand right now for those kind of talents, and insurance sometimes is not perceived as a sexy industry. I think we can get a bit better in demonstrating outside how cool it is, right? There's so much happening in the insurance space in terms of innovation. I also let's not forget insurance serves greater social good, which is economical stability. So I think we can get a bit better in communicating. Insurance is a good place if you want to do fun, innovative stuff with data and AI.
Okay, so there's a question come through from Roger Lewis, which sort of plays to what you've just been talking about. If you're going to get and attract talent into an insurance organization, you've got to have things which are going to be interesting to them. And he was asking, what are the advantages of pursuing a buy versus build strategy in the AI space?
Yeah, there is no straightway answer to that, but I think there's two worlds. There is, a lot of off-the-shelf solutions. I mean, if you want to do video generation, that's not your core business as insurance. You just buy it off the shelf. But if it is core to your business, like underwriting, I think that's where there is a competitive advantage in building your custom solutions. So to me, when it's core business, it does make sense to build. And build can also be, it's not like I'm training a new model from scratch. It's, I take what's existing and build on top of it. So if it's core, maybe build. If it's standard problem like marketing, everyone is doing marketing, right? That's not core. Maybe the buy. This is an oversimplification, but I think kind of gives
Not a bad way of looking at it. Yeah, and so Andy, your thoughts on that from if you like, from the other side of the pitch.
Yeah, obviously we've had our own thoughts on this at Send, and you look at OpenAI, probably taken $10 billion plus of investment, and so the question I'm assuming isn't around building what they're building. It's the last mile. It's the application. I think there's room for specialists in this space, for people to know how to leverage the large language models to answer some of the questions, solve some of the use cases out there. But it's still early. It's still early days. I mean, I think both options in terms of if you want to use Gen AI in your organization, the tools are out there to start working with. You can start working with it at fairly low cost, but it's worth scanning the market because there are a number of vendors popping up who solve really specific problems and doing a good job of it.
Excellent, great answer. Look, we're getting towards the end of our time here. So one of the things I do like to ask a panel when we've had a discussion like this is to leave us with the one big thing that they would like the audience to remember on this particular subject. If you saw them in 2 weeks' time and you said, "What do you remember about this?" What would it be? Henry, can I start with you on that?
I think it would be that in the next couple of years, the use of AI and generative AI should be something that makes your job in insurance more rewarding. It should be taking away from the parts that you don't enjoy and getting you to do more of the skilled work and become a more successful business. So yeah, have a more rewarding career with AI, not something to be feared.
Great, thank you. Andy, your thoughts?
I think my take would be to get a better understanding of it and actually try it out. I think you can sign up for a free ChatGPT account. You can do it, on your phone. You don't need to be worrying about work data or anything like that. Try it out. Ask it some questions about things you're interested in, and you'll quickly get an understanding of what it's capable of, and you'll probably spot some limitations as well. So yeah, give it a go. Fantastic,
thank you. And last word, Em, with you.
Yeah, the joy of coming last. I'm going to repeat a bit what Andy and Harry said. But yeah, I mean, the technology is super powerful. I believe, it's early days. The potential is not fully expressed or understood. Hence, echoing the other comments, experimenting is key. So get your hands dirty and try it out. If we don't do it as innovators, no one will. So it's our role to figure it out.
Okay, so there's 3 really good points there. Don't be afraid of it. It's going to enhance your career rather than threaten it. Try it out and just get comfortable with it. We all have to go through that with all new technologies, getting comfortable with these things. And if you don't do it, your competitors will. So you're going to have to be in the game. You've got to be in it to win it, as they say in the National Lottery. Okay, so gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your time this afternoon. You've covered a lot of ground in a very short period of time, and I thank you very much for that. We're going to wrap up now, and it just remains for me to say this has been our first webinar. It's going to be on a monthly basis, a different subject relating to technology within underwriting each month. And the next webinar is going to be on the 10th of April. So for the audience, if you wish to sign up for that, the sign up will be coming out to you fairly soon, and you can join us on the next subject on the 10th of April. It just remains for me to say thank you all for attending, and let's get stuck into AI and find out what we can do with it in underwriting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.